Hello and good morning, students. I am Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh, working as a Deputy Librarian in Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today, I will discuss about the topic library classification, need, purpose, and function. In this lecture, I will focus on what is library classification, what is their need, what is its function, what is its purpose, and how libraries arrange its collection and facilitates its user to find documents quickly and easily by using library classification. Now talking about the introduction of library classification. Categorization and classification are methods used by humans to organize entities, thoughts, objects, and phenomena. These processes are related to the organization of knowledge and the way people learn, remember, and know about the world. In fact, classification is something that we all do naturally in our daily life and see around us lots of examples that illustrate classification. We classify animals, plants, birds, languages, and many other entities into groups based on what is common in them. And for categorization of items, some sort of characteristics is applied, like age, gender, language, religion, educational qualification, etc. For example, in a grocery store, frozen foods and canned foods are found in separate areas. Similarly, in a mall, electrical goods and cooking goods are kept in separate areas. So, we group like things together so that it is easier to find. Now let me explain you with an example how we can classify the things from a kiosk. In this example, you can see there is a lots of chaos where the items from heterogeneous groups are jumbled at one place. Now the question is how we can classify and arrange these items from this chaos. And the simple answer to this query is two. We have to apply some order of arrangement by sorting items according to characteristics common to them. You may see the order in this table is a result of separating like things from the unlike ones. And here we have separated and classified the items into five different groups. And these are planets, mode of transport, flowers, fruits, and vegetables. So, thus, classification is an attempt to bring order in a chaos. This illustrates that classification helps to organize and simplify the world around us. Now, talking about the basics of classification. As you know, the term classification is derived from the Latin word classis, which means grouping. So, classification is the ability to distinguish objects through their similarities and dissimilarities. This process helps a user to arrange, organize, and make a logical sense of articles, which also assists the user to locate item in the easiest manner. So classification is one of the oldest and most prominent knowledge organization tool. It has been used in libraries, information centers, and other institutions for organizing books, journals, newspapers, theses, magazines, and so on. It is a system by which library documents are arranged according to subjects or class numbers or author of the books. So the library classification system uses a notational system that represents the order of the subject on the library and help users to easily find materials on the shelf. So the library classification brings the same subject books together and separate the unrelated subjects. Now talking about the various definitions of library classifications. As we know that different persons have defined classification in different ways. Now here we will discuss some of the well-known definitions of classification. The first one is from Margaret Mann, and according to him, classification helps to arrange things as per their likeness and unlikeness. Also, it is a method used in sorting or grouping of things. According to Sayers, library classification is the arrangement of books in a manner which is most useful to the readers. As per the new Encyclopedia Britannica, classification is an arrangement adopted by libraries to facilitate its clientele to find documents quickly and easily. According to Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, library classification is meant to be the translation of the name of a subject of a book into a preferred artificial language of ordinal numbers, and the individualization of the several books dealing with the same specific subject by means of further set of ordinal numbers which represents some feature of the book other than their thought content. Now let's discuss about what is library classification. A classification is a tool for organization of the phenomena of the universe or any of its parts or constituents. It groups objects into categories or classes based on the shared properties with the purpose of bringing like items together. A modern library classification is a classification of knowledge as it is contained in document of all sorts. It came into being for the purpose of arranging and retrieving information resources. The primary goal of library classification is to arrange books on the shelves and making entries in the catalog or index. So classification is the key to open access system. Library classification can also be considered to be a process of putting books and other reading materials on a subject in a logical sequence on the shelf, which could be of immense help to the users. In library classification, a class number is assigned to each and every document by using a classification scheme. This class number represents the specific subject of that book in an artificial language. In this way, classification may be understood as a tool to translate the subject of a document from its natural language to artificial language. Now let's discuss about the importance and benefits of library classification. The librarian of a small library, even without any systematic arrangement of books, can help its user in finding the specific books required by him. However, user of the big library, on the other hand, will need to scrutinize the bookshelves to find the particular book they want. And the larger the collection, the larger the search. Therefore, the librarian must use the principle of orderly arrangement in order to save the time of the user in finding the documents in the library. The foundation of library is the book, and the foundation of librarianship is a classification. Without classification, no librarian can build up a systematic library. Dr. Richardson has said, the books are collected for use, they are administered for use, they are arranged for use, and it is use which is the motive of classification. Library exists to provide the right book to the right user, or as Ranganathan puts it, to every book its reader, with the greatest possible saving of time for both staff and readers. Classification, thus perfected, has the obvious value of economizing time and energy. Now let's discuss about objectives of library classification scheme. First objective is it brings like books together. Classification arranges books in an order most convenient to the readers and the librarians. Readers should find all the related books together, and librarians should use minimum time and energy in locating the document. Classification brings together all the books on the same subject. Not only that, books on different branches of the subject are also organized in a way that their mutual relationship is clearly displayed. Now, the second objective of library classification scheme is library classification assists the librarian to make available the requisite book to the reader in the shortest possible time. The purpose of any library classification scheme is to allow libraries to arrange the documents in a sequence that will be of immense help to the readers. The library classification scheme offers the readers a basis for organizing books and other reading materials so that these can be used by the readers as and when they desire. A variety of classification schemes have been developed in various countries throughout the world to maintain the library collections in the most helpful manner possible. Third objective is it saves time. Classification is the great time-saving device for readers as well as librarians and thus fulfill the demand of the fourth law of library science. The arrangement by subject, a natural consequence of library classification, saves a lot of time of the reader as well as of the staff by bringing together all the related documents. Fourth objective is it reveals the weakness and strength of the collection. As classification arranges books on the shelf by subject, it clearly shows which subject have a good collection and which subject require more attention. In this way, it facilitates the book selection process and helps in developing all-round collection of the library. Also helps in bibliographical research. Classification is of value in bibliographical research as it helps in the compilation of bibliographies, catalog and union catalogs. Helps in stock verification. Classification plays a significant role in the stock taking procedure. Generally, verification of the stock is done through a shelf list which is arranged in a classified order. Books on the shelf are also arranged in the same order. In the stock taking procedure, a person on the shelf goes on calling the call number of the books, while the other person holding the shelf list goes on pushing the relevant cards forward. Thus, the process of stock taking is completed within a relatively short time. Now let's discuss about library classification functions. Practically, a library classification performs three functions. First, cognitive function, that is mapping of knowledge. Second, bibliographic function, that is information retrieval. And third, self-arrangement function, that is locating and browsing document. The classification system which performs cognitive function also performs self-arrangement function equally well. This means that a cognitively sound classification is equally good at information retrieval and self-arrangement of document. Now let's discuss these functions one by one. First is cognitive function. It gives us an overview of the structure of the subject field covered. Further, linking an information item on the shelves with its catalog entry and assigning class number which is unique for every item in the library. Thus, the library classification enables item in a library catalog to be located from the shelves. The second function is bibliographic function. It helps in locating of documents either directly or through the catalog. It is a tool for information retrieval. Hierarchy easily allows the broadening and narrowing of search by truncating a class number from the right. All the alphabetical subject access tools such as subject headings, list, thesauri, and ontologies inherently involve classification of one kind or the other. The third function is self-arrangement function. It allows meaningful browsing of document in stacks or their surrogates in the bibliographic database. The mode of classification is to group together by discipline the topics that the library users are most likely to see together. This is done by arranging documents in a filtratory sequence or helpful order. Now let's discuss about the purpose of library classification. The main purposes of library classification are helpful sequence, correct replacement, mechanized arrangement, addition of new document, withdrawal of document from stock, book display. Now let's discuss these purposes one by one. The first purpose is helpful sequence. Classification helps in organizing the documents in a method most convenient to the users and to the library staff. The document should be systematically arranged in class based on the mutual relationship between them, which would bring together all closely related classes. The basic idea is to bring the like classes together and separate these from unlike classes. The arrangement should be such that the users should be able to retrieve the required documents. As a result, it will make a helpful sequence. Now, the second purpose of library classification is correct replacement. The document, whenever taken out from shelf, should be replaced in their proper places. It is essential that library classification should enable the correct replacement of document after they have been returned from users. This would require a mechanized arrangement so that arrangement remains permanent. The third purpose is mechanized arrangement. It means to adopt a particular arrangement suitable for the library so that the arrangement remains permanent. The sequence should be determined once for all so that one does not have to predetermine the sequence of documents once again when these are returned from being borrowed. The next purpose is addition of new document. As per Ranganathan fifth law of library science, library is a growing organism, which means library would require new documents from time to time. Therefore, library classification should help in finding the most helpful place of each of those amongst the existing collection of the library. There are two possibilities in this regard. First one, the new books may be or a subject already provided for in the scheme of library classification, or it may be or a newly emerging subject that may not have been providing the existing scheme. Now, the next purpose of library classification is withdrawal of document from store. In this case, the need arises to withdraw a document from the library collection for some reasons, and then library classification should facilitate such a withdrawal. The sixth purpose of library classification is book display. Display is adopted for a special exhibition of the books and other materials on a given topic. The term is used to indicate that the collection is an open access library, is well presented and guided. Library classification should be helpful in organizing of book displays. Now, talking about the other purposes of library classifications. These are some of the other purposes of library classification, like compilation of bibliographies, catalogs and union catalogs, classification of information, classification of reference query, classification of suggestions received from the users, filing of non-book materials such as photographs, film, etc. Now, what is the necessary for a library classification system? A library classification system should be explicit, recorded, and unambiguous with clear notes and instructions with examples available to both classifier and user and designed to comprehensively mirror the cognitive structure of subject to potential users. Library classification should be designed to cover the literature, information, or knowledge base which is supposed to organize the documents. In other words, it should be based on literary warrant. Library classification preferably made available in varied but interoperable version of details to suit libraries of different sizes. Now, talking about the features of library classification. A library classification should have these features like comprehensive, covering the whole field of knowledge as represented in the books, formulated with due regard to the literary warrant, aiming to provide a place for every type of subject and document, systematic proceedings from the general to the specific. The arrangement of classes and subdivisions should be made with constant regard for the main purpose of the library classification, the securing of a helpful order convenient to the majority of users. The library classification, the term used must be clear and currently accompanied, where necessary, by full definitions. They must refer to the scope of the headings and be equipped with notes and instructions for the guidance of the classifier. Now, to conclude this topic, we can say that classification has always been the backbone of library services, and the purpose of any library classification scheme to allow libraries to arrange the documents in a sequence that will be of immense help to the readers. A variety of library schemes have been developed in in various countries throughout the world to maintain the library classification in a most helpful manner possible. So, in the era of ICT, the electronic version of the DDC and UDC make it possible to realize the potential of library classification to improve subject retrieval. Thank you very much for listening to this lecture.